Hello again, and welcome to my show, Searching for Integrity. My name really is John Smith. I'm searching for people with integrity because our country is suffering from IDD, integrity deficit disorder. We have a guest today, Jeni Ji Cousins. It's a big thrill for us to have this person on our show. Are you there, Jeni?
I am, and thank you. Thank you, John. I'm very honored to be a part of your show. Thank you for inviting me.
Well, I'm going to claim all the pleasure of this now, okay?
You have this really nice demeanor about you. It's really nice. I'm really liking your energy, by the way. Really liking it.
Great, great. I just like to have a little fun when we're supposed to. Now, I did do some research about you and that and the world and your talents, your gifts. It's quite marvelous, I should say.
Yes, it's different. I'm not the average bear by any means, shape, or form. So
well, you'd be surprised for all those people watching.
Anybody who meets me, they're like, you're just very, very different. And I'm like, I'm just being myself, right? Like you have to be yourself.
Sure. Otherwise, you can't fool them all around.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, let me dig into what you would like to do in terms of what you do. To start off, let's say someone contacts you and they want your help. Okay. What would you recommend for those people to
well, whenever somebody wants to book a session with me, somebody says, they're going to be like, I want to book a session with you or a reading with you and such. And, they're like, what happens during the session? And I'm like, well, I don't know, because I stay in the moment and I never know what information comes through at any given time. So one of the first things that I will do is I will read into somebody's level of consciousness immediately, because, we all see things differently. And I want to be able to, give that person, an understanding on their level so that they'll understand, what I'm talking about. Yes. So I bring up different factors of, what I'm seeing for them, because I'm a psychic clairvoyant medium, past life akashic record reader, animal communicator, relationship coach, meditation and life coach, pranic healer. So I just kind of combine everything with where that person's at to help them shift forward with a better understanding of why things are happening the way they're happening, and also giving them solutions, how they can resolve certain issues. And this is why this is happening right now. Mm-hmm. And if you choose to do this or to that, this is what's going to happen on either path that you choose. And then, of course, it's up to that person to make the decision, of what resonates best for them.
Mm-hmm. Do a lot of people want to go have you take them to the other side? Is that what they're looking for?
Yes. It depends on the person. So, somebody could, just book a session with me about, whatever it is. And then all of a sudden at any given time, like I hear messages 24/7 nonstop. So at any given time I'm talking to someone, I could start getting messages coming through right away. And then I'll say, you know what, I'm hearing a message. If it's from like a pet, an animal who has passed over, or a relative, family, or friend, or a friend who has passed on, and I'll be like, okay, I'm getting this message. So then I'll give that to them. So that's why it's like, I don't know what to expect with what information I'm receiving for them.
Right. You're just passing it along.
Yes.
And I understand that completely.
Yes.
I I'm a real, what's a word for me? A real working person at that. I at one time thought I was going to finally get best enough in order to be to do some of that myself. At this point, I'm just a how would be that would be a go ahead, you tell me.
Well, I mean, like, as I always say to everybody, it's really important to be you. You have to be authentic. You have
Right.
to be yourself. And I truly believe we're all gifted and talented in our own way. And I mean, we all have our own journey of self-discovery. And, some of us can, be drawn into certain fields. And I always say, follow your passion, whatever you're passionate about. It's like you hear somebody who's been, there's a book, I can't remember the name of the monk who gives away his Ferrari or something. And he was like, I think he was like a lawyer. And all of a sudden something had happened and he gave everything up. And he went on his journey and he became a monk on a spiritual journey. So we all have different roles of who we are to specialize in to help one another. I mean, like with your work, you specialize in what you do, where I specialize in what I do. So I wouldn't be able to do what you're doing, right? That's your wisdom and your knowledge and your experience and education. And just like with me, we're all gifted and talented. We're all teachers. I see each one of us as being a teacher. I really, truly do. If that person is open and connected with their heart and their soul, where other people, if they're just only connected with ego, they're not going to see anything. They're just going to be looking at themselves and not being open to hearing messages.
Right. Well, I first realized when I might have a little bit of talent given to me. And that was when I would know that somebody was talking about me. And so I'd go over to the phone, I'd pick him up on the phone and say, what are you doing? He said, well, we're just doing this. How did you know we were talking about you? So that's a little bit of how of a gift that I got. I also
That's your
thought
intuition.
it is, absolutely. And I enjoy that. But one of these days I'm going to try and put away all these earthly things and and get onto the same thing, finding people from the other side and messages there.
Yes. And I mean, like, I also help people bring out their abilities as well. That's why we're all gifted. And for instance, with you, that's your intuition. And, you're going to find as well this year that your intuition is going to get a lot more stronger for you. And I actually can see, I'm not going to go on about what I'm really seeing, but you're actually going to delve more into the metaphysical, spiritual world. So that intuition, you're going to find it's going to be like all of a sudden you're going to think something and then something's going to happen. Or, the same thing. I was just thinking of my friend and then all of a sudden, he calls me. That's going to start to increase even more because the world is awakening. And when you're open and you're ready, you're going to hear more messages.
Very much so. Very much so. I'm an author as well. And I wrote a book to do that. It was a memoir. And I had a friend that helped me with the book. And what was surprising is that he had passed away 15 years ago. So, and he was a big help, let me tell you. It was, someday I'll get you my book and you can see that about what kind of life I've had.
Oh, wonderful. That would be amazing. Thank you. I'd be grateful.
It's called Embracing the Abyss.
Oh, wow. That's a really powerful, there's a really powerful energy with that.
Yes.
Very powerful energy with that.
Yes, I know that. I just don't have, I don't know. I thought it was going to be easier to sell books, but it's not. It's just, but I thought I would try it a different way. But
Mhm.
I'm working on that right now. And
Yes,
maybe I'll
it's
get
all about
Mac.
getting out there. Yes.
I'll get Mac involved. And we've talked about it a few times, how we're going to do
Yes.
it, the way we're going to do it. But it was the lawyer.
Mhm.
He helped me write the book.
Mhm.
He saved me from going to prison,
Wow.
and that's why I
No,
called it the abyss.
and that's so interesting because we all have, reasons why we're here. And obviously that was one of his missions, was to help you get this book going before he passed on. We all meet people for different reasons. I mean, I talk to all walks of life. Doesn't matter who it is, to well-known people, to the person next door. And
Right.
we all hold our own special gifts, as I mentioned. So that was one of the reasons that you have connected with him, that you connected with him at the right time. If you take a look back, things can happen in synchronicity, and things happen for divine timing at the right reasons. And that's one of the missions that he had with you.
Yeah, and I'm completely aware of that. Always was from the very beginning, and it took me. It took me about 30 years to write it, because I had these little bits of paper that I threw in a big box. And finally I said, it's time for me to get ready. It's time for me to whatever. And I can hear him talking to him. Get ready, come on. So, and
Yes.
his name was Steve. He
Okay.
was he was a wonderful, wonderful guy. We incarnated together.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, we all make, before we're even born, we all have our soul contracts with people, and we get told before we're born, this is who you're going to connect with. If it's
Uh-huh.
business, if it's like romantic, whatever relationship we have with that person, and this is why you're going to be here with that person, karmically, for the good and the bad and the ugly, as I call it.
Right,
So
sure. Well, it makes me happy whenever I think about him. Um, and I'll say I'm out walking the dog. He says, I know that, I'm walking with you.
mhm. Yeah. And it's paying attention to the signs. And I mean, like, what I will do is, like, I will ask, like, I get signs all the time in messages, but if I need some assistance, I'll be like, okay, spirit. Or if there's a certain person, like if it was Steve, I would say, Steve, please give me a physical sign. I like getting physical signs. You go on your own
Yes,
comfort zone. I'll be like, can you give me a physical sign you're here with me? And then all of a sudden, you could have a hat drop, or like hear a knock. That's a physical sign, right? Like, I get
yes.
physical signs, and it has freaked people out whenever they're with me, right?
Uh-huh.
So
You bet.
it depends on your comfort zone. And that's what I would do. Give me a sign you're with me, or physical sign you're with me.
Right, right. Are you out there, Steve?
Give us a physical sign you're there, Steve. Right? So sometimes they come right away. Sometimes, you could all of a sudden, you know, the book that you wrote, it all of a sudden could be sitting at a different counter, and you're going to be like, what? That
Yeah,
wasn't there. And then you start questioning yourself. Maybe I must have left the book there, or something
right.
from him, like a baseball hat,
Hmm.
that adventurous, or something that's going to connect you with him.
Yeah,
So, and it's being open and not brushing those signs off and
that's right.
second
No,
guessing, especially when you're asking for it.
sure. Uh, we recently moved into a new home in Tucson, Arizona, and its grandchildren is what brought us out here. They live in Scottsdale, northern Scottsdale, and I know when we were in the rent house. We rented until we found a house we wanted to buy. And in that process, I was always I always had the thing that there is somebody in the house with me. And it may be Steve, it may be my mom, it might be my dad, any of those. But they just, the breach, I guess, is where I'm trying to close the breach. But there's still odd sounds around the house, even now. And I keep saying, "Who is that? What's that going on?"
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's,
And it's, go on, sorry.
No, you.
But I mean, like if I, for instance, felt somebody beside me, right? For an example, the first thing that I would do, regardless of where I'm at, is what am I feeling? Am I like feeling it's a calm sensation? Or am I feeling, I'm not liking this, whatever it is I'm feeling? Listen to that first. So if you're like, you know what, I'm feeling this really calm energy around me, kind of like that nice vibration or whatever it is, then it's somebody of the good, somebody, of course, that that is passed on or whatever. And if you're feeling that, you know what, I'm not liking whatever it is, then it very well could be something else that could be stuck to the property or the home, or something different. Like I used to do house clearings and clearings of environments of offices. And I'm not going to be, I don't do that anymore. I stopped doing that for various reasons. And I'm not adding that onto my new website that I'm going to be doing any clearings like that anymore, because you can deal with all kinds of energies and I'm like, I don't want to be a part of that anymore. So.
Yeah. Well, we every house we move into, we get all the tools out and clear everything. And we're probably going to get to the porch here. So we've only been here 2 weeks. It often wonders me how you can stay with what you do in terms of, because there's a lot of negativity and there's a lot of that. And you must have a certain, how you deal with it, the way you deal with it. Yeah. Otherwise, it's just,
yes. I mean, I always take we all have stuff to deal with, right? That's life. And I'll take like a challenge, let's say, right? Like I've recently been sent like a huge challenge and I'm like, okay, don't hyperventilate. Things happen for a reason, right? Just, and then it's like, take that challenge or obstacle and let's take that into more of a positive aspect. It's like, what is that teaching me? What is that showing me? What am I learning from that? And, I will distance myself away from a lot of negativity and negative people and toxic people and situations on purpose. I will set boundaries. And I will surround myself more with people who support me in a positive way. I'll be polite to other people that I have to communicate with and such like that, but I don't get involved with them. We all have our own journey. And the number one law of the universe is you cannot judge anybody. We all have our own journey of self-discovery, karmic situations to resolve. So I will be like, oh God, I just had this challenge or this obstacle. Oh no, right? And then I'm like, okay, let me pause. Let me just pause on that and really see what this is about and learn from it and then deal with it, because you can't run from things. If you run from things, it follows you. So I'm like, okay, what am I dealing with? And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to resolve this one way or another because I want to move on with my life and learn from that experience, whatever it is.
Well, that experience is another experience. It's like another grade in a sense, where you've brought yourself this and it was going to be coming because it's just part of the deal. It's part of the deal.
Yes.
And it for me, I'm still working on it. I have not meditated enough for me. I used to meditate for a long time.
Mhm.
And then I thought, okay, I'm too busy. And, I go for short meditations now. But that's not really helping me. I
Well,
need to work
it
some
comes
more.
down, yeah, I mean, it comes down to having space and time for you, that silence, that we don't have to sit there and go om, and, or, all of
Mhm,
that. I mean, you
mhm.
can meditate just by sitting in silence, right? Even if you're just doing your work in silence, you're going to start hearing messages coming through from your soul. Even go for a walk, turn your phone off. Like, even when I walk my dog, I don't bring my phone with me. I don't want
That's
to
good.
get bothered because that's my time with her whenever I'm walking her. So, and I'll just sit there in silence. Like, everybody meditates their own way. There's many different ways to
Mm,
meditate, but when you're, on your own, you're going to hear those messages coming through if you're open to hear and pay attention. Because I used to teach meditation class every week until before COVID. And one of the first things I used to tell somebody is be open to hear what messages you're getting through. Because if somebody says, oh, I just met my soulmate, and then all of a sudden they start hearing some message that they're like, that's not your person, that's not your soulmate. And if they don't want to come to terms with that or hear it, they're going to block that out,
sure, sure.
right? And then we all, of course, have our own path and life lessons and such. So
Well, it's another good example of amazing is the word. I'm going to put the adjective on it. It's amazing. It's amazing to me how many people don't even care about any of this or finding out about this. It's you've got a large unpaid audience out there for you.
mhm. Well, I
Uh,
just surrender. Like, I surrender everything, like everything. So it's like who I'm supposed to connect with, I leave
uh,
it up to spirit. And
right,
I don't think anything of it,
right.
regardless if it's one person or a million people.
That's true.
And I'm like, that's your problem, not mine. I'm open, right? Send me who I'm
Right.
supposed to connect with. And then also you have to listen to your intuition, right? Because it's like, be careful
Absolutely.
what you ask for.
Absolutely.
That's
It's
that
you
law of
gotta
attraction.
exactly exactly I used to say.
Yes, exactly.
Uh-huh.
Exactly. So, because we
Well,
attract who we are. So if you attract somebody to you, just for an example, right? Like if I attracted somebody really negative, for instance, like a criminal, just for an example, right? Like, I would be like, okay, Jeni, how did you attract that? Like, what were you thinking? Where's your mind? How, right? That I wouldn't be
mhm,
looking at that person. I'd be looking at myself. How did you attract that to you? You got to change your mindset from negative or fear to positive. That's why I'll take like a situation. I'll be like, oh my God, I have to deal with this. Oh my God. And they're like, okay, let's calm down. Take that time and space, work through it. It's going to be fine. It's going to
right.
go, with the flow and with ease. I'm trusting spirit, right? Surrender,
Yeah,
staying positive.
yeah. Well, I can feel your energy big time when you get on
Okay.
that message. When you get on that message, I can, it's also your eyes. Um,
Okay. Well, the
and
eyes are the
it's,
soul, the
uh-huh,
eyes are the soul that speak. Like, I want you to do one thing. One thing, right, is when you're having that moment, right, especially more when you're alone, go stand in the mirror and only look in your eyes. Just look into your eyes, not your nose or any other part of your face, and stare into your eyes. And you're going to start to kind of feel a little different. Like, you're going to be like, I
sure,
don't know. And especially if you start getting emotional, really pay attention to that, because your
right,
soul is bringing things to the surface you have to deal with.
right, absolutely. Um, it was a thrill for me in getting prepared for this.
Oh,
And I didn't have to do a lot because I've been around it. I once took a metaphysical course there were 8 or 10 of us, and we went to a woman's house for a year, once a week. And
wow.
that's where I learned what I learned, and all my friends still around. It was a lot of fun, good people, and they're still
Yeah.
going. Yeah.
Yeah.
It amazes though. Back to me. Why don't these people get it here? You know, why don't they do something about it themselves the whole way? You know, but you probably have to, in a sense, you know, half a session is probably uh, um, no, I can't throw you in that thing. It's like it's a. I used to go to see one. Um, my psychologist. That's it. And he helped me in the way of that. So you're doing a lot of good things for people. I can tell that. And I'm glad you
Thank
had an
you.
opportunity to do this here, and it'll make Mike happy. Huh? Mike.
Well, I'm
He's-
always so grateful. I'm always so grateful when I get asked, you know, to do an interview or talk or something. I'm always
Mhm.
grateful, you know, sharing time with someone. It's wonderful.
Right. Well, he's a good guy, and we work together well.
Hmm.
Now I've got my audios here again, and I'll have to tell my audience, thank you for be listening to us and appreciating someone like um, you, Jenny,
Thank you.
Jeni Ji,
Yes.
and I listen to tuning in to searching for integrity. I
Mhm.
find a lot of people like that and want to be part of it. And yeah, so I'll stick with the time, and we'll do it right. I really want to thank you for being this and doing this. It's not easy sometimes when you sit down and talk to this subject matter, but
Mhm.
I can do that. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you have to be yourself. You have to do what feels right for you, right? It's with any decisions, you know, if it feels right, then you know you're on the right pathway. Things are flowing, you're on the right path. So we always get our roadblocks, of course, but you know, when it's done absolutely, you know, with the right intentions from your heart and soul, like I know who I am, you know, and the work that I do and such, it's with the right intentions from my heart and my soul as one. So it's like, just be yourself.
Right.
It's very important, because if somebody tries to be someone they're not, the vibrational frequency is not going to line them up, and their work or their goal is not going to happen because they're trying to be somebody else. So we're all here on our own mission and destiny and our purpose.
Right. Well, thank you very much, Jeni Ji. You've been a thrill, and again, for my listeners, they probably haven't heard anybody like this on my show, and now they have. And so I will say, so long and happy trails to all.